Hey everybody, Richard here. I've been invited to speak at this year's Atlas 2023 annual conference in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I thought it would be a good time to give an updated overview of some of the work I've been doing around curriculum mapping with Google Workspace. Some of you may have been following my work over the years. This is about 7 years in the making, and I thought this is now a really good time to share what it looks like in 2023. So if you want to learn more about the conference, feel free to check out the website, but it is happening April 30th to May 3rd in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So let's get started. So curriculum mapping with Google Workspace is an internal Google Workspace add-on. And when I say internal, it means it works only within your organization. This isn't something that you'll be able to get directly from the Google Marketplace. And it lives and operates in the shared drive of your school. And the applications it works with are Google Drive, Google Calendar, Google Sheets, and Google Docs. And also connected to it is the use of Looker Studio for exploring your data and creating dashboards to give you better insights into curriculum alignment and whatnot. So I'm just going to do as quick a run through as I possibly can about its features and kind of how it works. So the first thing I'm going to do is, as an admin, I'm going to launch the add-on in the sidebar. And it's a one-button setup. Essentially, you connect the add-on to a shared drive ID, which you would create a shared drive in your own school, click that button, and all of these files would be generated. There is a very important Google Sheet that is also created inside of the admin folder, which we'll get to that. There's some instructions here about if you're a school that is using standards or follows a set of outcomes. There is a pretty easy way to sort of incorporate or import them into this system as well to use in your planning process. I've added links to some support documentation, real-time data relating to how long the subscription will last, and then just a summary of the features and that this kind of works with for you. So that's all from sort of the admin point of view. I'm now going to shift gears and go over into the Google Sheet in admin view. So this is a file that will essentially be your database of resources. Notice how some of the tabs along the bottom have padlocks on them. These are intended that only the curriculum admin can edit or modify data directly on these specific tabs. If I launch the add-on here, a couple of options become available to me, and one is this option to relist the files, and what this does is opens a web app that I can start it, and it'll in the background relist the files every night. And this is important because this gives you updated last modified dates, any new names to files, any changes to start and end dates. Those will be all reflected on that nightly relisting of the files. Other things you can do from this sheet are, for those of you who may have been working with a previous version of this, I have made it possible to bulk import unit planners from a previous iteration into this iteration of curriculum mapping with Google Workspace. It's just a matter of essentially adding metadata to all of the Google Docs to align them into the right spots on the map. And then the other couple of features are being able to bulk archive and bulk delete files. And nothing is really deleted, they just get moved into folders outside of the folder that is the active map. On this sheet as well are a couple of extra tabs. That one is this Looker Studio tab. This is constructed with a custom function that will allow you to explore your standards in a Looker Studio dashboard, which I'll get to in a minute here, but this sort of puts the standards, one standard per cell, and you could have it referencing the same unit. So this is just the back end of what that would look like. You can also set up data to be part of a timeline. So Google Sheets has a really nice new timeline feature that you can build out a nice visual of what your curriculum looks like throughout the school year. I just wish there was a filter option in Google Sheets for the timelines, but that is currently not available, but maybe one day. Also part of this process is the ability to build another type of timeline, which is simply a web app that would be built with HTML. And again, you could filter and create a visual. And of course, you could change, rather than filtering by course, you could filter by a standard. You could create multiple timelines that also give you that visual look of your curriculum. All of your data would be pulled directly from this SIS Google Sheet that is completed, and then any apps that you may use are also stored on the back end, which can then be linked to your curriculum documents. So enough on the admin and back end side of this. I'm now going to jump in as if I were a teacher. And the way this works is that everyone starts with a template, and it's best sort of that the template is pulled from the template gallery. This is something that a school could build on their own and decide what things are important to them to track. But the key features of this is that it has to have an empty header space that is available for a table that the add-on will insert. And that's to ensure data integrity between the Google Doc and the data stored in the Google Sheet as well. So if I were to create a new unit, and maybe we're going to call this one Macbeth or something like that. This could be an English unit. I launch the add-on as a teacher. The first thing it's going to do is recognize that this is not in the map. So I, as a teacher or an admin, could assign this to a given teacher. I can pick the class it's involved in, the grade level. Again, all of this data is coming from that Google Sheet that I showed you earlier. We'll give a start date. Start this Monday, and then we'll go on till March, and we're going to add it to the map. What this process does is it not only stars the file to make it easily findable, but it also moves it from the teacher's My Drive into the Shared Drive folder. This way, it belongs to the school and not to the individual teacher. Also in this process, a resource folder is automatically generated and stored, so you can quickly drag and drop any resources that you may want to include with that unit. Simple as that. So that's great for documents that are non-Google Doc files. I've recently added some functionality that will allow you to make copies of documents in your drive and put them directly in the resource folder as well. So if I navigate over to the resource folder and I'm thinking, oh, this document here would be a really great addition to that resource folder, but I want to keep it in my drive. I just want to send a copy. I can just take the URL of that document and I can paste that link right here, copy to resource folder. And now we will have seen that the resource has been copied and now is available in the resource folder as well. I can also view if there's been any attached outcomes or standards here, and there hasn't been any attached here, but I certainly could go ahead. So before I do that, I'm just going to take a quick look at my standards Google Sheet, where it's going to be pulling from, to make sure I have information available in there. So the way I can do that is go back to my shared drive, and go into the curriculum folder. I'm going to go into the outcomes folder, and I see that I do have an English document here. And right now, it looks like I've got Common Core standards already wrapped into this one. But if I needed to edit or build something from scratch, I would simply launch my standards template, and I could, if it's a brand new Google Sheet, I could build them out, which I'll show you what that looks like, or I can actually pull from a shared folder that already has some Common Core state standards, ISTE, and then some science standards that are already formatted in a way that I can just copy and paste them directly into my map for use. So going back to the Macbeth unit, if I come down and I click on English, what this is going to bring me is to those Common Core standards, which I can then proceed to locate the part in my planner where I want to sort of list and document these things. So when I select, the standards that I'm going to be covering in this given unit, I'll select a couple more, and then I can hit submit. What's great about this is these automatically get copied over into the Google Doc, and at the same time are copied into a Google Sheet in the background that can be explored with Looker Studio, which we'll be looking at and exploring. So it's very easy to attach standards or outcomes to your document. The other really interesting thing you can do is if you're investing in technology resources, you can actually attribute or attach certain tools that you may be using with this unit to kind of deliver the information that's in there. So once you click apply changes, sidebar will refresh, and those changes will be reflected and listed here about what resources or about what technology tools are being used in that map. So I'm going to go back and relist these files to incorporate this newly added Macbeth file. So if I go back to my files sheet and go to open up the map, and if I list the files now, again, this happens nightly, automatically, but you can manually force this, which is important to do as you're just getting started in the beginning. I can see that it's now part of the map. So if I go over and have a look at my map, I can go here, and I can see I have a direct link to the resource folder. I can open the unit planner directly here. I know when it was last updated. I can see the start and end dates, a lot of information. I could even filter all this information by a specific app to see who else is using some of the tools I'm using as a teacher. And then perhaps even more interesting is the option to begin to start filtering by specific standards. So you could go through your list here, you could pick one, filter, and then you could see all of the unit planners or courses that are addressing that given standard. So that is essentially the process. I do want to share with you the process of creating new sort of outcomes. So it's as simple as opening up Google Sheets, making sure the file is saved in just your drive as the admin, and then you would launch the add-on over here, and you would click a button, and then this will build out a template on the tab that will be used with your add-on. The final piece, which I should also make clear, is that you can get these units onto Google Calendar. So if you go to calendar.google.com and you launch the add-on here, You can locate your unit, and you can add it to Google Calendar. And what this does is makes it easy, if every teacher does this, is to see what unit they're working on, right? So I can go ahead and I can see here's the Macbeth unit. It's going from March 20th all the way to the 13th. And if I click on the event itself, I have direct access to the unit planner. So this is great for admin too, who just really want to grab a quick look at something. And the way that would work is you could search for your given teacher, and when you highlight their name, their unit would appear in the all-day events if they've added it to their calendar. So that's a great use of that. So I hope this is enough of an overview to share with you about how far this has come in 7 years. And if you happen to be in Grand Rapids, please come to my session and have a play with this hands-on. Thanks for watching. Bye.